Hey y'all, Irix Guy here. Welcome back to another wristwatch collection review here on Timepieces for Tomorrow. If you haven't subscribed already, be sure to do so and ring that bell icon to be notified whenever I post another video. Now today on the wrist, I got the Rolex on the wrist and the Mount Gay in the glass. Rolex on the wrist, Mount Gay in the glass. So Mount Gay is a very nice rum. If you haven't had it, it's from Barbados. A very well-crafted rum, and this is one of the more premium tiers of their dark rum. And then on the wrist, I've got the Rolex Submariner 114060. So let's go ahead and hop right in here. And by the way, if you would like me to review your wristwatch collection, email review@timepiecesfortomorrow.com because I love doing these reviews. And I hope y'all like watching them because they're fun to do. So this is Matt, and I'm going to pull this up. And again, for all these reviews, send an alias, send a first name. You know, I'm not here to vocalize full names or anything. It's all in good fun. So, let's see. So we got Matt, and Matt says, feel free to laugh and love some of my collection. The early days of my journey was spent mainly on watches that I thought looked pretty good and cool at the time. A lot of Invicta watches that are now not even worth buying a battery for, LOL. Some of them had broken bands, so they got discarded as it cost more for the band than the watch is worth. 2 Apple watches worn to work out. Hey, I do the same thing. I call my Apple fitness tracker because, I don't know, if you're obviously a watch addict and you feel the same way. And then I've got 2 Swatch Watches, orange NASA and navy and orange Roland Garros Tennis Club. I'm a child of the 80s and still love Swatch Watches. Swatches are cool. Sorry, I got like water in my ear. Hold on. It's because I was in the shower and I had a mishap. Let's see, the Invicta Loopa X2. And an Invicta Automatic Boba Fett Star Wars Limited Edition. The square one is an S1 Rally, I believe. After the Invictas, I have a Bulova Marine Star, and I really enjoy, except it has a crappy crystal I already have had to replace due to scratches. This watch would be fantastic entry-level daily wear watch if it had sapphire crystal, in my opinion. Very, very interesting point. Down below, I have a very cheap eBay red line next to a Movado, which I liked until the rubberized strap started peeling apart. The Tag Heuer Professional 200 was my first nice, quote unquote, nice watch out of college, and I still keep it even if the 36mm size is just too small for me now. Hey, nothing wrong with Tag. You know, back in the day, they were pretty hot. The Tag Heuer Professional 200 was, okay, I just read that. Now on to some more interesting stuff. Here we have the William Wood Valiant Rose brass bezel watch with a red fire hose strap. I have the Seiko Solida Movement version, and it is a good-looking watch with dome sapphire crystal. And dome sapphire crystal really gives a timepiece a more vintage look. Very cool. Next to it, I have one of my personal favorites, the Jacob & Company, Jacob & Co. ACM3 Alpha Charlie Mary 3. The finish on this Valjoux 7750 movement, by the way, got the Valjoux 7750 in my Breitling Super Avenger. Rock solid movement. You ever notice with the Valjoux 7750 though, you can hear it, you know, if you move your wrist around, you can hear it. So if you ever sleep with your Valjoux 7750, it might wake you up. It's beautiful to look at through the sapphire case, and the multi-layered and multicolored enamel dial is always fun to look at. This watch just makes me happy. It's no astronomy, but I love the watch. He's talking about a very extremely high-end Jacob & Co. timepiece. And he says, for my crown jewels in the collection, we have the two-tone Breitling Chronomat Galactic with the B01 chronograph movement and one of the coolest looking two-tone bands ever made in my opinion. I love this watch because it is indestructible, while at the same time a bit flashy and almost formal. Next we have the Rolex Oyster Perpetual, or Rolex OP as a lot of people like to call it, 41mm in green enamel. I love the watch as it can be a daily wear, or I can dress it up or down. No date to set, which is a big plus when I just want to grab my watch and go. The power reserve on this is great too, so I appreciate that. Next we have the Omega SpeedMaster 9900 Coaxial Racing Master Chronometer. This watch may be too big for some wrist, but the orange hands and lettering just light up my fire for this watch. Dude, I felt the same way about the orange hands. I was down in St. Martin and I put on the Omega Speedmaster Mark II, kind of the funky case with the orange hands. Those orange hands in person are dope, man. They really are. The box is the nicest of any of my watches, and the movement is beautifully finished to appreciate through my sapphire display. I love this watch. Yeah, Omega makes a great time, makes some great timepieces. Finally, my Grail watch, the Bluesy, new 41mm version. When my AD called me for this watch, I just about had a heart attack, as I had just bought the 41 Oyster Perpetual and didn't think this would ever come my way. I don't regret it though. Every time I look at it on my wrist, it brings a real feeling of accomplishment. Bluesy is great. Next steps in my collection, Rolex Datejust two-tone Jubilee and Everrose with the fluted bezel and slate green dial, Wimbledon. I feel that I need a dress option, as most of my watches fall heavily on the sports side. Secondly, I feel I need an awesome integrated bracelet watch in my collection. My Grail would be a Vacheron Constantin overseas, but my budget doesn't allow it. Surprisingly, those Vacheron Constantin overseas, they used to be kind of a dog. You know, they were like, and now they've really become popular. I liked them back in the day too. And when I say back in the day, I mean in the late 90s, early 2000s. And that's when they were price accessible for most. So my thoughts typically go between the amazing Bulgari Octo and the always classic Cartier Santos. You should always also check out that Cartier Drive, but we'll talk about that in a minute. My heart says Octo, but my head says Cartier. You're smart with that. Any suggestions there would be appreciated. Always enjoy your channel and lighthearted fun. Keep it up. Thanks, Matt. Well, Matt, I appreciate you contacting me with this very in-depth and an awesome wristwatch collection to review. So we're gonna talk about it. And again, if there's some things that I say that come across as offensive, I apologize, because I'm unfiltered here. So we're just going to go through. We're going to pull up your first collection here, and so looking at it from left to right, we've got the two Apple watches. That's something you wear at the gym. So those don't even count. Then you got this orange thing. Let's see. The orange thing was the Swatch watches, the orange NASA, and the navy and orange Roland Garros Tennis Club. Okay, so that's the next two. You know, those are cool. You know, good. Get out and sweat and have something on your wrist. And then the Invicta Loopa X2. Oh man, yeah, I remember the Invicta. I had an Invicta, and I thought I was wearing a Rolex. You know, that was back in the day before any semi-successful business ventures, and it was just kind of like a piece that you could put on the wrist and feel like you're cool, but knowing really you're not cool, because you're wearing such a, you know, low quality wristwatch. But it was still cool to wear. And let's see, and an Invicta Automatic Boba Fett Star Wars Limited Edition. Okay, let's see. So, and then you've got the square one is an S1 Rally, he believes. All the Invictas, after all the Invictas, he has a Bulva Marine Star, and then he's got cheap eBay red line next to a Movado. Surprisingly, the Movados in the past, they were pretty popular, and then, you know, and obviously the Movado I can spot. If you look at this from the side, you got the two red, then the orange, then the navy, and the orange, and then you got a black one, and then the kind of bluish one with the blue on top. Movado's kind of signature thing was that little circle or whatever you call it. But yeah, that Movado used to be pretty hot. And then so yeah, jokingly, and you know, I'm not, you know, I'm not, I'm not going to tear you apart on this, Matt. But I mean, obviously that photo, that collection of watches was just sent for entertainment value. But I mean, everybody, you know, you get stuff and you want something on your wrist. I mean, obviously you've got the addiction. I know as soon, and most of the time in the shower, I wear the, you know, the dive watch or whatever. But if I don't have a proper timepiece on my wrist, I feel naked. You know, it's like walking outside and walking on the driveway without a pair of shoes on. I mean, you can do it, but do you notice that you're missing shoes? Yes. So, you know, it's the same thing with the wristwatch addiction. So I understand where you're coming from, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I wear Apple Watch when I work out. These other things, I mean, there's a time and place for everything. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, if you enjoy having something on your wrist, and it's something that if you're, you know, you're in a, you know, maybe you got to travel and you're in a questionable area, and you know you might get mugged and they might steal your watch. If they stole one of these, it would be like, thank you. You know, maybe not the Apple Watch, because then you'd have to deactivate it so that they don't potentially get any of your data. But any of these other ones, I mean, it's like, go for it, man. It's like, do you want to pay you to steal that from me? You know, I mean, it's one of those things. Now, getting into your interesting stuff, you've got the here you have the William Wood Valiant Rose brass bezel watch with a fire hose strap. So that is William Wood. I will tell you, I have never seen that wristwatch, but looking at it, it's kind of cool that, I mean, a fire hose strap, that's pretty neat. That is pretty neat. I'm going to have to research that one after this video, because I've never heard the brand. Now the next one you've got with the yellow strap, the one with the yellow strap is the you said it's one of your personal favorites, the Jacob & Company ACM3 with a Valjoux 7750 movement. Now, enamel dial, you know, obviously when you're dealing with enamel dials, you're dealing with a higher end timepiece. If you're not familiar with Jacob & Co., they're in New York, and they make some just, I mean, sickeningly high-end wristwatches. It's one of those deals, it's kind of more, it's more, I would say, more towards the jewelry side than the tool side. So if you're getting a Jacob & Company, a Jacob & Co. wristwatch, you know, it's something that it's unique. It's, you know, you go into a bar or a restaurant, you're probably not going to see somebody wear, in most scenarios, you're probably not going to see somebody wearing a Jacob & Co. So it's definitely a well-respected manufacturer, and it's unique. And I think you're, I mean, just look at that dial. I mean, you got a triangle, you got a square that's kind of tilted. You got all these different shapes and colors. I mean, it's definitely a unique-looking piece. I can't say I've ever seen that wristwatch. Now, again, I'm not personally a Jacob & Co. fan, so I haven't looked at them. I'm aware they exist, but that is just a cool piece. You got a lot of colors, something unique. You know, nothing wrong with that. I'm not gonna say anything bad about your Jacob & Co. Breitling, you've got the Breitling two-tone Chronomat Galactic with the B01 chronograph movement. The B01 is obviously an in-house Breitling movement. I think that's a good-looking piece. Some of the Galactics I didn't really care for. I felt that they were too, I guess the way to describe it, and maybe that's their intent, they were just kind of too futuristic. I mean, when I look at this, it's a Chronomat, it's got a proper bracelet, you know, it's got the two-tone. I think it looks cool. I have no complaints about the Breitling. He says, I love this watch because it's indestructible while at the same time a bit flashy and most formal. Excuse me. It's that I put a little bit of, I don't drink Coca-Cola because it's too expensive, but I just put some generic off-brand cola in here with this Mount Gay rum. Typically you drink a rum straight, but this isn't the highest tier of, one of the higher tiers. It's an acceptable tier of Mount Gay dark, but it's not high enough to where I don't want to put a little bit of Coke in with it. So I put some generic store brand soda in here. It's giving me the hiccups. But yeah, I like Breitling. Like you said, flashy. When I think of Breitling, I think of flashy. They are very, historically, Breitling has been very big and very shiny. And even my Breitling Super Ocean Heritage 42, that's the one with the ceramic bezel and the shark mesh bracelet, it's shiny. So, Breitling is going to draw attention. Breitling is a very well-made piece, and the B01 movement is very nice. Now, this is really cool. So, Oyster Perpetual 41. So, this is a piece, let's see, this is the current reference Oyster Perpetual. And you can tell that because if you look at the dial, the 3, the 6, and the 9, it uses 2 batons. The previous reference, I've got and this is 41, but I've got the 39 millimeter polar, which didn't use the double sticks. So, it's a different design. 41, I think, is a very good size. This watch is the green, and obviously, dude, you got to get the Tiffany dial, man. You got to get the Tiffany dial, OP. That thing is going insane on the secondary market. But if you're familiar with Rolex, green is a very significant color. And actually, I think green, I think you made the right choice. I mean, obviously, this is something you said. You said, I love this watch, and it can be a daily wear. I can dress it up. We're down. No date to set, which is a big plus when I just want to grab and go. The power reserve on this is great, so I appreciate that. I think they have a 70. I'd have to look at the specs, but I think this has a 70-hour power reserve. So that extra power reserve is nice, especially if you're rotating with other, throughout the week, you're rotating other timepieces. But I think the green looks good. That is a great looking piece. Again, simple, wind and wear. Don't have to fumble with a date, and just something that's very symmetrical. And I like the green. I mean, I know the most popular OP41 color is obviously the Tiffany blue. But really, if you're getting something to wear and enjoy, it's the color that you want. And green on this timepiece looks really good. I like that. That's a great decision. I have no complaints. And again, something like you said, you could wear anywhere. You could dress it up. You could dress it down. Now we're going to segue into the Omega SpeedMaster 9900 Coaxial Racing Master Chronograph. And he said, it may be too big for some wrist, but the orange hands and lettering just light up my fire for this watch. Yeah, when they were using the orange hands, and that's the funny thing about, when I buy wristwatches, I typically research on sites like chrono24.com, and you can buy there if you're looking pre-owned. Great place to buy wristwatches. But when you look at photos, even your photo of this Omega, when you see the orange hands, it just doesn't pop like it does in person. I mean, I remember, and I was in, actually it's when I got my Panerai PAM 112, I was in the Omega boutique in Philipsburg and St. Martin in the Dutch West Indies, and it was sunny out there. I mean, it's an island, you're just right down the street from the Princess Juliana International Airport, where they got Maho Beach, where the planes land right over you. Just a very cool location. But I looked in the Omega boutique, and I wasn't looking at this Speedmaster, but I was looking at the Speedmaster Mark II. I think they call it a bullhead case, or I forget the exact terminology for the case, but it's not your more common Speedmaster case like this. It's got a weird shape. It looks weird in photos. The orange looks weird in photos. But those orange hands and that case profile and the bracelet that was on it, it was a phenomenally just cracking timepiece to look at, especially in the sunlight, not far from the water, where the Omega boutique was in Philipsburg, St. Martin. So it was phenomenal on the wrist. And again, your picture doesn't do this justice, but I mean, you got it with the orange. Orange on these Speedmasters, it's not a tacky thing. Orange on these Speedmasters brings them to life in a way that I've never seen orange hands do for any other wristwatch. So, you did an exceptional job choosing that, and I really like, it does appear to be, let's see, I'm going to see if I'm going to read your comments here. Is that, it looks like, I don't think that's a rubber strap. I think maybe it is rubber. It's probably leather, but it looks really good. Great job with that. No complaints. And then finally, your Grail watch is the Bluesy. Hey man, Bluesy is great. You've got a you've got the current, let's see, let me see, did you say this is the current reference? Yeah, I'm assuming this is the current reference Bluesy. You know, you've got just a great piece with a ceramic bezel. It's two-tone, obviously, something that will always be a classic. You can't go wrong with the Submariner. I personally am not a fan of the solid gold Submariner. I think it's just too blingy and not as, you know, gold is not as durable as stainless steel. But with it, and by the way, you know, as you know, Rolex uses a special stainless steel. But with this, you're getting the value of the Rolex stainless steel in the outer links, and then you've got the gold center links. And that blue dial and that blue bezel is just is amazing, dude. Bluesy, I can see why that's your Grail wristwatch, and you by no means made a mistake. Your AD calls you and they're like, "Hey, I got a Rolex," and it's one of those. Dude, you would be a fool to pass up that opportunity to buy. So you bought it. You did the right thing. He said, next steps in my collection. Matt saying Rolex Datejust two-tone Jubilee in Everose with the fluted bezel and green slate dial. Actually, I'm interested in that one too. That's called, like you said, the Wimbledon timepiece. That is a great one. And I remember when I picked up my Oyster Perpetual 39mm 114 300 with the polar dial, the white dial, that it and the Wimbledon were not far apart in price. That was before we've seen these just radical Rolex price spikes on the secondary market. But that is if you could get that at retail, I think that's a great piece. And obviously, you know, you don't have a Jubilee. At least you didn't send me in your collection photos. You don't have a Jubilee in your rotation yet. Jubilee is a must. That is, you said, I feel I need a dress option, as most of my watches fall heavily on the sports side. And that's the beauty of Datejust. It's an Oyster case, so, you know, you're at that event, you know, your professional event or whatever, it turns into a party, everybody starts drinking and jumping in the ocean or jumping off the side of a yacht. You've got a watch that can do that. And that timepiece is the Datejust Wimbledon. So, you know, even though it's a dress timepiece, you've got the versatility for, you know, having a few whatever beverages. You know, maybe you're passing by the hot tub and there's a bunch of ladies in the hot tub like, dude, is that a Wimbledon? You're like, yes, ma'am. And you get in there and you get in the hot tub. They saw your Wimbledon dial. So that's pretty cool. And it says, secondly, I need an awesome integrated bracelet watch in my collection. My grail would be the Vacheron Constantin overseas, but my budget doesn't allow it. So my thoughts typically go between the amazing Bulgari Octo and the always classic Cartier Santos. My heart says Octo, but my head says Cartier. Any suggestions there would be appreciated. So here's the thing, and I was recently at the Cartier boutique in Charlotte Amalie in St. Thomas, and again, everything with the Cartier is a matter of personal preference. I don't like a lot of the Cartier dress watches simply because they've got that very pointy crown. Now, I did like the Drive Day Cartier. The Drive Day Cartier was really nice. The only reason, and it looked nice on the wrist for a dress piece, the leather strap felt good, but the problem with it is that, you know, when I look at it, I'm like, man, this bezel, even in an office environment, it's going to become a scratch magnet. And, you know, and maybe that's okay, but it's something to consider if you're going with the Cartier. And actually, the Cartier now, you know, their prices have really, like everything else, they've really risen. But between a Cartier Santos and a Bulgari Octo, I've never felt, and I know they're popular, and I think part of the popularity of the Octo is because they mildly resemble some of the Holy Trinity brands. And I don't, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe people here have different opinions, but I just don't, in my mind, I don't associate Bulgari as being a wristwatch brand. I know they sell a bunch of wristwatches, but if you look at their catalog as a whole, compared to, say, Cartier, Cartier's wristwatch catalog is significantly more popular throughout the range than Bulgari. So I think that alone would probably steer you towards Cartier. You know, there's nothing wrong with Cartier for a dress watch. I think they're always going to be timeless, just like a Rolex. But your mention of the Vacheron Constantin overseas. That's a great piece. Actually, when I bought my PAM 112 in Phillipsburg, St. Martin, that's the same time that I was looking at the Omega Speedmaster Mark II with the orange hands. And I looked at that same Omega Speedmaster Mark II with the orange hands in St. Bart's as well, at another authorized, at a not a boutique, but an authorized dealer in St. Bart's. And it was, the Vacheron Constantin overseas. I looked at the case. I obviously didn't try any of them on when I was getting my PAM, but at that point in time, the overseas wasn't as overly hyped as it is today, and didn't command the premium that it does today. I'm with you. It is, for what it is too overpriced. Obviously, if you're not familiar with the Holy Trinity consists of Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, and Vacheron Constantin. So those three brands make up the Holy Trinity. What many regard as the top tier, the top three of wristwatch manufacturers, high horology, haute horology. That's the Holy Trinity. But from a wearability perspective, even though the Vacheron Constantin is a sports watch, it's like the other high horology sports watches. They don't tend to be, you can't beat a Rolex in stainless steel, or a two-tone, in your case the Bluesy. You just can't beat it. They're very durable. They will take a beating, and they don't care. Yeah, you're going to get some scratches on it, but if you don't, you're not wearing it. Vacheron Constantin overseas, yeah, sports watch, but really, are you going to be scrubbing it in the sand while you swim? Probably not. I mean, even if money was no issue for you, you're probably not going to do it because it doesn't look good. Whereas with a Rolex, you can do whatever you want to with it. So, but I can appreciate you wanting a Holy Trinity piece, and I think you feel that the Holy Trinity is inaccessible, and that's understandable because they command a premium. But I would encourage you, if you're looking for a high horology piece, I would steer you, and nothing against Jacob and Co. that you've got, but if you want a very well-known and long-winded production brand, I would steer you towards Jaeger-LeCoultre. Jaeger-LeCoultre has some amazing dress watches, but Jaeger-LeCoultre also has some amazing, I don't want to say amazing sports watch. I'm not a fan of their sports range. Now, I do like the newer reference that came out from Jaeger-LeCoultre. What is that one? I'm getting it off the tip of my tongue here. I'm going to look it up and tell you. I can't believe I can't recite this. I've got the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Control, which is just the basic with the date. But you would probably want, I'm going to steer you towards some things to consider here. Let's see. We're going to go in here, and I'm going to look for Jaeger-LeCoultre. It's a newer reference they released. Let's see. I'm going to pull it. I'm going to find this for you. Because this is something I think, if you've got the what you mentioned, the Vacheron Constantin overseas, if you've got that in your mind, and then also a dress watch, which is kind of a different spectrum. Number one, from a dress watch perspective, I would encourage you to check out one of the Master Control with moon phase and pointer date. I think that's a phenomenal piece. Actually, one of the previous reviews that I filmed, and off the top of my head, was it EP Life or was it John? One of those two reviews. You're the third review, by the way. but it was one of those two. They had this particular Jaeger-LeCoultre timepiece, and I would highly recommend that timepiece. Now, if you're looking for the sports watch type, you know, something to consider instead of the Vacheron Constantin Overseas, I would consider, oh, here it is, the Polaris. So the Polaris comes in several varieties. It is a, you know, it's a matter of what fits your style. You can get it on a bracelet, you can get it on straps, but it's got they've also got a Polaris chronograph, and then they've just got a Polaris. I don't even think it has a date. The basic Polaris doesn't even have a date. Yeah, no, it does. They've got one with a date, and it's at the 3 o'clock position. But check out the Polaris, the Mariner date, or just the Polaris date. Or if you don't want a date, the Polaris automatic. And if you're looking for something with a chronograph complication, check out the Jaeger-LeCoultre Polaris chronograph. I think those are very nice looking timepieces. If you're looking for something different, you know, something a league, a few tiers beyond a lot of other wristwatches that, you know, again, Jaeger-LeCoultre is not part of the Holy Trinity, but Jaeger-LeCoultre, their movements, they've put them in a lot of the Holy Trinity wristwatches. I say a lot. Comment below, everybody that's watching this, and tell me which ones. But they're very well respected. Jaeger-LeCoultre obviously is the movement fans wristwatch. They make some of the most incredible movements. They call them master control. They call them master because they go through the master control process, which is 1,000 hours of testing the time-keeping capabilities of that movement in the actual watch case. So the watch you buy is the case that the movement was tested inside of. And they also, Jaeger-LeCoultre, created the Jaeger-LeCoultre Atmos, which operates based upon atmospheric pressure fluctuations. So a very high horology brand still hasn't really garnered the level of prestige that like a Patek or an Audemars Piguet or a Vacheron Constantin has, but they're up there, and they should be just rubbing elbows with them. But yeah, check that out. That would be my best advice. And let's see if there's anything else in here that I didn't address. I want to make sure I'm thorough. Matt, I really appreciate this. If you want to send me any updates as you add new acquisitions to your collection, please send those. I'd love to film a follow-up video. And any questions you have, ask. And any additional questions you have, please ask. And I'll be more than happy to try to address those questions within a future Timepieces for Tomorrow video. And again, for everybody else out there watching, review at timepiecesfortomorrow.com. Send me an email and includes a photo or photos of your wristwatch collection, and I'll film a review and post it here on IRIX Guy's Adventure Channel, youtube.com/IRIX Guy. And be sure to ring that bell icon and subscribe, because that'll notify you whenever I post another video. If you're looking for merch, like this t-shirt, sweatshirts, stickers, coffee mugs, pint glasses. I should have my pint glass in soon, by the way. This is just a barren one. But yeah, I should have that in soon. But you can find all those linked below. It's a great way to support videos like this. And again, I am an independent YouTube channel, so it's your viewership and your subscriptions and your submission, your interaction. Sending me these watch collections to review. That's a great way to support my channel. Being an independent YouTuber, it is tough. And also, if you're an authorized dealer, or not authorized dealer, but a secondary market dealer, and you're looking to pair up with me, send me a message. You can just send review at timepiecesfortomorrow.com, because I'm looking to establish a relationship with a quality pre-owned wristwatch dealer so that I can gain access to hands-on access to a variety of different timepieces to review and talk about here within future Timepieces for Tomorrow videos. So I appreciate y'all's viewership. Hope this was fun. I had fun filming it. And Matt, again, 2 thumbs up, great collection. And keep me posted as you continue to progress through your wristwatch journey. Y'all have a good day. Thanks again for watching this video. And want to remind everyone, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell icon when you do to be notified whenever I post another video. And if you've got a wristwatch or a wristwatch collection that you'd like for me to try to review with an upcoming video, send me an email, review@timepiecesfortomorrow.com. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.